The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA Income Disclosure Statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Welcome everyone to Habits of Health webinar community time. We are so excited to have you here. My name is Shantelle Flake. I am so excited to be with you. I hope you guys have enjoyed really diving in the past couple weeks to the first two elements, which have been amazing. So some of you may have been on live, or you watched the playback, or you've listened to the podcast channel. So that has been really fun. The past couple of weeks, we've gone over the discovery phase of really finding out what you want. And that has been really good. Now, this week is where the rubber meets the road. This is where your story that you have dreamed up gets to become a reality. And we're going to be talking about how to create what you want. Think about that. If you could actually tonight get that much closer to creating what you want, would you want that? Well, let's dive in. Let's do that. So here is our transformational system. I'm going to jump slides real quick. Here's our transformational system. And this probably looks extremely familiar to you. And I hope so. This is the key to long-term sustainable transformation. And our new guest tonight, if you're coming on new, make sure that you have your very own copy of this. This is nothing that you are going to want to share. So make sure you have your own. And then also the app, and that's something that can go with you. These are the tools for really, that is the foundation of what we do here in OPTAVIA. So I want to know who's joining us. Are you a coach? Are you a client? Or are you a guest? We're going to launch this poll here. And I want you just to respond and let us know so we get a good idea of who is joining us. And whatever phase you are in this journey, I just want you to know that you are in the right place. We're all learning the same things, and we're just along here for this journey. Are you guys ready? Tonight, I'm really excited to share with you a little roadmap of what we will be doing. We're going to really be focusing on making your story a reality. And we have some new tools for you that will hopefully help change your life. And spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about a structural tension chart. So that's going to be really fun, where you will pick an individual micro habit, and we're going to plug that in, and you can start working on that. And that's going to start your transformational cycle. But just to start off, just a little bit about me. I have been a certified OPTAVIA coach for 8 years now. And before that, I was a fitness instructor, and I knew I wanted to make an impact on people's lives. And not just that 1 hour a day that they were in my class, but really the other 23 hours a day that they had in their life. I wanted to be able to make a difference. And so I became a coach, and I started to help people. And what really surprised me was when I started being a part of this community and learning these tools, how much it was actually for me. And even though I feel like I was pretty proficient in practicing a lot of these healthy habits that we learn about, it was kind of more of a checklist for me. That's the best way I could describe it. It was very just very automatic. And what I really wanted and what I've learned is that this is a complete mindset transformation that really happens from the inside. And so that is what I have gained so much from this OPTAVIA community. I have to tell you a little bit about my ultimate why. And it's here pictured, if you're on here tonight, it's pictured here on the right side. It is that wild, crazy, beautiful family of mine right there. And that's really why I'm here. And I don't know if you've ever said something like, you know, I would do anything for my family. Have you ever said that? Like, I would do anything for my family. And I have to agree, that's totally me. I would do anything, life or death, you name it, that I would do it. But I want you to ask yourself a question tonight. Would you choose your optimal health for your family? If you do anything for your family, would you also choose optimal health for your family? And so over the past 8 years, I feel like that commitment that I've made and that lifelong, I've decided it's a lifelong pursuit for me. There is no end for this for me. That is the greatest gift that I can give to my husband and my children, here pictured. And it kind of makes me emotional because that's why I'm here tonight. That's why I'm here. I am a better mom. I am a better wife. I'm a better daughter. I'm a better human being because of these things that I've learned. So get ready to have it impact your life in every single area. So let's dive in. I had a client that I talked to, and before she started this program, and she was the kind of client that was, I would describe her as a 10 out of 10 motivation. You know those? Have you ever been there? Maybe you've experienced that where you're just so ready for the change. You're all in and you want it all and you want it right now. She talks about all these huge changes in her life. She just saw this vision of where her life what could be, and she was ready to go. And when she received her transformational system, she received the LifeBook, everything, she opened up her LifeBook, and she actually expressed, she called me one day and she was really disappointed. And she was disappointed because she said, micro habits. I hear this talk about micro habits and I want big changes. Like, this seems backwards to me to start focusing on these little things. I'm so motivated right now. I could conquer the world. Give me big changes. Can anybody relate? I want to hear. Give me a guess in the chat if you can relate to somebody like this, where you're just so ready for these big changes. It's hard to focus on the small. But she kept reading in the LifeBook, and she read the quote that Dr. A talks about, that we master the ability to create a series of small, sustainable changes in your daily choice that will, over time, create the long-term change. So the small, sustainable changes is what creates that long-term change, right? So never underestimate the power of small. We got to start small so we can achieve those big things. So let's start small today. And let's talk about this structural tension chart that I mentioned. If you're familiar with this, give us a little yes in the chat. And
Shantelle?
Yes.
I'm going to hop in and see if Morgan can take the poll off so people can see your screen.
Yeah,
right now they can't see it.
Absolutely. If you are still seeing the poll, you can just X out of it, I believe. So go ahead and do that on your screen. Awesome. So let's talk about the structural tension chart. This is amazing. I love it. Let's start with the left side. Okay, you're looking right here on the left. Your current reality. Where are you now? Current reality, it has been said that it is an acquired taste. And the awareness of this reality can sometimes be hard. I don't know if you've been there, but this is where we start. Then I want you to look at the right side of this page where we talk about the desired result. And this is where we want to go. And maybe you've talked to your coach about this, or you've decided where you want to go. But for this example, there is somebody who is overweight and their desired result is that they want to get healthy. I will say a little bit of a warning about the part that I talked about, how current reality is an acquired taste. It can be unsettling sometimes to find out where you are and where you want to go. And it's okay to feel that discomfort. In fact, I feel like that's like where the magic happens, is when it's right outside of your comfort zone, right? And it can be kind of like a rubber band. So if you think of a rubber band, and I should have grabbed one, I'll use this, okay? You guys can kind of just think about it. And those that are on the podcast listening, think of a rubber band. I'm holding this in my hand. And if you think about it, if I were just holding this limp in my hand, there is no tension or there's no purpose to this rubber band, right? And it's not until I stretch it back that really enables it to be useful. And that's what helps me to be able to launch it, right? So this is kind of how we are with our goals. That tension between current reality on the one side and the desired outcome on the other. And when we stretch that, that's what's going to propel us forward. And although that's uncomfortable, that is part of the process. And it can kind of feel like we're being stretched just like a rubber band. Maybe you felt that. So let's talk about the secondary choices here in the middle. And this is really where it all happens. So these are the building blocks of how we're going to actually make this happen. So think about like the small daily habits that you build that build your new behavior. So here listed are eating the 6 small meals, breakfast every day, the glycemic, the lean and grain, the glasses of water, low glycemic carbs, all these things. I like to think of it as like a navigation system. So think of it like if you were going on a road trip and you were you would plug in your navigation system, or you would plug in where you are, your current location, and then you would put in your desired outcome, which would be your final destination, right? So what would come up after you plug that in? You would probably have Siri come on and say, step by step, road by road, turn by turn, telling you the instructions on how you would get there. And so that is like these secondary daily choices, and that's what's going to help us get there. So now it is your turn. Are you guys ready? I want to hear which of these micro habits are you using to create your structural tension chart? So we're going to bring up a poll here, and I want you to answer. Healthy weight management, healthy eating and hydration, healthy motion, healthy sleep and energy management, healthy mind, or healthy surroundings. So you can pick one, and this is what we're going to work from tonight. We're going to get focused here. I am so excited to bring on my dear friend, Lauri Warren. And when we are talking about this creating long-term sustainable change, I just feel like there's no better example than Lauri herself. So I'm so excited for her to share her journey.
Oh, thank you so much, Shantelle. And I'm so excited to be here and honored that you asked me to join you. And I think what you just said is probably because you know how many years I have struggled. And that's kind of how my story starts, is just, I'm that person who, feels like I was the professional dieter because I feel like pretty much all my life I have struggled with my weight. And that's been an issue and something that's always been on my heart and my mind. And I was either gaining or I was losing, and just really feeling so many years in a place of frustration that I felt like I had a broken metabolism, frustration that I kept reading all these different things about nutrition that conflicted with each other, and frustration that I felt like I spent hours in the gym thinking I could finally out-exercise what was coming in my mouth with a fork, and it wasn't working. The results weren't showing, and just losing the same 10 pounds over and over and always gaining it back and a little extra with it. And I'm sure there's so many out there who have felt that same frustration. And really along those years and decades that went by, I developed a lot of habits that were not serving my health goals. And one of the biggest ones was the habit of giving up. The habit of giving up when things got hard or when things stopped working, which they always did, because I just felt like I never had the right key to unlock everything. And so when I found OPTAVIA and started this program and started seeing the results and the changes that were happening, I just felt like my coach just kept passing me keys. And, you know, she handed me the key of eating 6 times a day and feeling like I wasn't starving throughout the day and just having sustained energy. And then she handed me the key of an amazing community of people to be connected with. And then the education that brought all those pieces of nutrition together finally. And I just remember feeling that frustration was turning into confidence. I had confidence for the first time that something was actually going to work and be sustainable, because I got so excited when I realized that this wasn't actually another diet that I was on, but it was actually teaching me habits that were going to last me for the rest of my life, so I could be off of that yo-yo and just becoming a healthy person, which was so exciting, and really began to help me feel empowered that I could actually take ownership of my health for the first time ever, and even ownership of my life. Like Dr. A says, one healthy habit at a time. So now, excuse me, Shantelle had you pick a macro habit, and the next thing you'll want to do is set up the habit loop for it. So the habit loop has 3 parts to it, and these habit loops just work beautifully to help you install those secondary choices that will help you reach your desired outcomes from your structural tension chart. And so the loop, like I said, has 3 pieces. The first is that cue, which is a stimulus that activates that new habit. And that can be a reminder of any kind that will signal your brain that it's time to start the action. It can be a new cue, or it can be one that you attach to a cue that's already there. And then the second step of the habit loop is the actual action or the routine that you're setting up. And then the third step of the habit loop is the reward. And that is the benefit that's going to reinforce the installation of your behavior. And so for me, a habit that has become an integral part of my life is eating 6 times a day as a secondary choice to support my macro habit of healthy weight. And when I started this program, I used my phone alarms as a cue to remind me, but now we have that wonderful app that is so much fun and so easy to use that comes on and reminds you, hey, it's 3 hours, it's time to eat. And so for me, so that's the cue, and then the routine is that when the alarm goes off, I would eat a fueling or a lean and green, and then the reward was the satisfaction of the taste and the fullness, and the reward also was the emotional and mental and physical feeling that, hey, I just ate something that was healthy, that had a perfect balance, that is going to make me feel great, and I'm doing a good job. And that has been so fun to see as I have continued that for 3 years. My brain has taken over now, and I don't even need that external cue anymore. Like, it just automatically signals me. So that works so well. So some habits are simple enough that you can just install that habit loop and get them going, but some that are more complex, you may need to break down into what we call micro habits, into smaller chunks. And so before you start a micro habit, it's important to ask yourself 3 questions. And those questions are, number 1, is it appealing? Is it something that you actually want to do? Number 2, is it achievable? Can you actually do it? And number 3, is it easily activated? Is there a prompt that's going to remind you to do it? So in order for it to be achievable, it needs to be something that you can do every day. It needs to be really small. And so that means that you can do it even on the days when your motivation is low, or you're feeling tired, or you're feeling overwhelmed. It's something that you can still get done. And that is the role of these micro habits. So looking at the model, we start with a small, doable behavior. For me, I was working for a while on my habit of motion. So I chose the micro habit of walking up and down my street one time. And that was simple enough. I could do that every day. And then on the days where I felt great, you can see on the model there, that's what we call our micro habit of health plus one. On the days I felt great, I might add a few more laps to that. I might actually run it some. I might come in and do some weights afterwards. But I could always at least walk up and down my street and be successful at that. And so then the key is the consistency, which is represented by those tiny checks that go across the bottom. Dr. A says in his Habits of Health book that it takes an average of 66 days to create that habit. And so being consistent with it for that time can really help you establish that habit. And I definitely experienced that and had that reward of getting outside and gaining that mental clarity and just feeling great for the day. And so I'm just, again, so honored to be here and loving learning how when we can change things in our life by creating new habits and just really empowering ourselves to turn that frustration into confidence and to create what you want in your life. Thank you so much, Shantelle.
Thank you, Lauri. That is step-by-step guidance right there. That was so helpful. I hope that you all found that very helpful. I am excited to take a look at the poll result of what you guys chose to see which which macro habit are you using to create your structural tension chart. And it looks like we have the majority of people wanting to work on healthy weight management and healthy eating and hydration. And then we have equal parts of about 10 to 12% or so on motion, sleep, mind, and surroundings. So we have a good variety here tonight. And so that's helpful to know what you guys are working on. I am excited now to bring up our next speaker, Maiken LaCrua. And I'm excited for her to talk about how to take these daily choices to make it a long-term investment. I think that's why we're kind of on the call tonight. I'm pretty sure that's what you all want. So she's going to tell us. And I've watched her over the past 5 years, and she has really made this a reality in her life. So let's hear it, Maiken.
Thank you so much, Shantelle. Hey guys, I'm so excited to be here. And I'm planning on sharing a little bit of my experience and my story as I go into chatting with you today about the slides that I want to go over. So just look forward to that. I just want to echo Lauri really quickly on how powerful installing those new habits into our life and creating those new neural pathways in our brain can be in helping us to make long-term change. So I'm loving what we're learning so far today. So my first slide, this one is probably my favorite one, that we have this relationship. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but it's pretty powerful. We have this relationship between our present self, who we are right now, and our future self and what we want to create. So just for a second, I want you to think back, especially if you're a current OPTAVIA client or if you're looking into OPTAVIA, I want you to think back to that health assessment that hopefully you got to participate in when your OPTAVIA coach originally called you. And that section of the health assessment, when you had that opportunity to really dream about your future and what you wanted to create and what you wanted to see become a reality in your life. I remember that very clearly when I became an OPTAVIA client. And the reason that I bring that up is because oftentimes we create those goals and we're super excited about them, but then we've got this present self day in and day out that can sometimes, if we're not careful, get in the way of what we want to accomplish in the future. So our present self is so concerned with immediate gratification. Think about that. Have you ever had that experience where day in and day out, your brain is looking for that immediate or instant gratification for one reason or another to keep you moving forward? And so sometimes that immediate gratification can get in the way, like I said, of your long-term goals. So I love how Dr. A talks about in the LifeBook that as we're installing these new habits that Lauri spoke about, as we're breaking those old neural pathways and creating those new pathways in our brain, the best way to do this is to create instant positive rewards in our life. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few examples so that you can understand what I'm talking about. So let's say you've just started a program and you are literally just for the first time in your whole life learning how to eat 6 small meals a day versus 3 larger meals, which as Americans, we're really used to doing. So in order to continue doing that and to live that way day in and day out, what you want to be able to do is think about that instant reward that your body is receiving. So for example, when you eat those 6 small meals, you are full of energy and you feel so much better throughout the day, right? Another example that you might be installing right now in your life that may be brand new for you is I'm drinking 64 ounces of water a day. What is my instant positive reward that I'm receiving in the moment? So for example, your body's going to be completely hydrated. You're going to have less brain fog and you're going to be completely more alert than you would be if you weren't drinking water at all. So in my mind, I hope this helps you. I think about a bridge that every time you allow yourself to have that instant reward, you're laying the next brick or the next stone or the next piece of wood to build that bridge between who I am in the present and who I want to be in the future. And every time you fulfill that habit loop, you are getting closer and closer to who you want to be. And that is really ultimately, you want to be a healthy person for your entire life, not just until I reach my goal weight or until my clothes fit better, but I want to be a healthy person all around. I hope that's a goal that we all have on the call tonight. So I want you to look at that little, or the green stone on the slide, if you can see it. We're going to talk about long-term investment. And this is where the magic happened for me as a client. And you're always a client, right? So continuing to be a client, I have decided, and something that I've realized is that that long-term investment continually has to evolve. It can never remain the same. If you are going to be a healthy person long-term for the rest of your life, you have to be continuing to change that. So a little bit of my story. When I started with OPTAVIA, my long-term investment was, I just want my clothes to fit. I just want to be able to pull up my pants, right? In the morning when I get dressed. And then I reached that goal. I got there and my long-term investment changed to, I want to get to my healthy weight. I want to get to my ideal weight, if you will, the place where I feel super confident. And that happened. It became a reality for me. So I had to change my long-term investment again. I've been a client with OPTAVIA for 5 years. So you can imagine how that has to continually change. Then it became, oh my gosh, I want to have energy for my kids. I want to show up and be the best mom I possibly can. That long-term investment continues to evolve. And now something that I thought about this week is my long-term investment is still to be a great mom, but now to have the energy to serve the people around me. So for you, that could look like serving in your workplace, serving in your church community, serving as a mom, a grandparent, or a dad, whatever it is, showing up with health and energy to really serve those around you. So that long-term investment has to keep evolving as we go. So I want you guys to, just to end, I want you to be thinking about, you know, this call is wonderful and we're giving you all this great information, but where do you go from here? So maybe, right, you get off the call and you try this out for yourself. And I don't just mean in your mind, I want you to put pen to paper and really think, okay, what is my long-term investment going to look like, right? So an example that I can give you, and this goes right along with what Lauri spoke to earlier, is let's say you have a goal to gain a stronger body, not just a leaner body, but a stronger body. So your cue might be, I set my alarm in the morning for 5 a.m. And my alarm goes off every day at 5 a.m. The routine that my brain is going to take me through at that time is to say, I've got to get my workout clothes on, or my running shoes on, or I've got to get dressed and I've got to get myself outside or to the gym, or whatever it looks like for you, right? And your instant reward, remember your bridge, those blocks that you're laying, the wood that you're nailing down to connect your present self to your future self. That instant reward is, oh my gosh, I exercised today. I feel so much energy. Maybe you have lots of endorphins. You're happier. You're in a better mood. But what's your long-term investment? Your long-term investment is, I am building a stronger body that's going to serve me to move in all the ways I want to be able to move, even when I'm 80 years old, right? For the long term. So I just challenge you guys to really take it past that instant reward and really be thinking, what's my long-term investment? And how am I going to keep that evolving so that I can create that persona, that reality of I am healthy all around for the rest of my life. Thank you, Shantelle, so much for having me on.
Thank you so much, Maiken, for walking us through that. Taking your LifeBook out and writing exactly what Maiken said, such a great idea. We would love to hear how you enjoyed community time tonight. So go ahead and take this poll real quick. And just a few reminders, make sure to look at the Habits of Health videos on the playlist and subscribe and comment, and then use these as reference. They're awesome, awesome videos. And next week, we want you to join us for community time. We are gonna have just in time for Valentine's Day, What Do You Love Most? And Health is a Matter of the Heart by Dr. Joe and Donnie. So we are excited for that. Thank you everyone for joining us and taking the time and investing in you tonight. We will see you next week.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in Health, the OPTAVIA team.